Well, good afternoon. Back in the workshop, working on the guitar, and the next step in the making of the guitar is to bend the sides. And before I do that, I thought I would show how I got to this point, as far as how I made jigs and forms and molds to allow me to bend the sides to the correct shape. And the idea is, of course, that we want to take a guitar side. This is a practice side that I ordered. It's a mismatched piece. And so it was very inexpensive, and I'll use it for practicing before I bend my real sides. It's about 33 inches long, about 5 inches wide. I think it was about 1/8 of an inch thick when I got it, and I sanded it down to about roughly 0.09 of an inch, about 3/32 or so. And the idea is to take this and get it bent into this shape, this hourglass-like shape of an acoustic guitar. And of course what we have to do is take one of these and bend it to this shape, and take another one and bend it to the other side. In order to do that, we need some type of a form to fit this board into that will cause it to take on that shape. And that's what I want to talk about. So we'll put this guitar, its practice side, away. And this is the plan I started with. This is from Luthier's Mercantile, LMI. This is plan number PL34. It's an OM size acoustic guitar, steel string, no cutaway. And when I got the plan from LMI, I took it to the local copy center and had a few copies made. And I took one of those copies and I cut out half of this guitar shape. So there's a center line on this drawing, and I cut along that center line, a straight edge and a razor blade. And then I cut very slowly and very carefully, as precisely as I could, around this curve. All the way around, very slowly, very carefully, with a razor blade. And when I did that, when I was done with that, I had a paper template of 1/2 of this acoustic guitar shape. Now, of course, I don't need the whole shape. I only need half because each side is a mirror image of the other. So if I have one shape, I can flip it over to trace the other side. But I took that paper template that I cut out, 1/2 of the guitar, and I taped it to a piece of plywood, this piece. And once I had it taped on this piece of plywood, I took a very sharp pencil and traced very slowly and carefully around the outside of that paper template, right at the edge of the paper, all the way around. So I had a nice pencil line. Once I got that traced, I could take the paper template off of this piece of plywood, take this piece of plywood to the bandsaw, and I rough cut this shape, staying just inside the line, about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. And once that rough cutting was done, of course I could get rid of that piece, the off-cut piece, take this to the drum sander, and then I use the drum sander to smooth out these curves and to sneak up on that pencil line. So when I was done, my cut is right on the pencil line that I drew from this template. And so that when that's done, we have a template that is the exact shape and size, as you can see, of this plan. And of course, like I said, I only need half because I can flip it around and use the other side as a pattern for the other half. And once I had this done, then I had a master template. This is my master template for a guitar of this shape and size. And because it's my master template and it may be around a while, I labeled it with the LMI plan number, PL34, and the size, OM guitar. And now that I have this master template, I can use it anytime I need to trace or route this shape. I've got this template to use, so I no longer need this paper plan for this shape. I need the paper plan for other things, but not for that shape. So let's set that aside. Let's get this paper plan out of our way and show you what I did next. Okay. Now that I have a master template, I could take this, lay this on top of another piece of 3/4 inch plywood. This is 3/4 inch plywood. Another piece of 3/4 inch plywood. I traced this shape with a sharp pencil. Then I took this template away and I cut out that piece of plywood along that edge, and this is the piece of plywood. And when I cut that out, I again rough cut it with the bandsaw, staying just outside the line, about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. And then once I had the rough cut out done, I took this to the drum sander, and again, with the drum sander, I smoothed out the curves and I was able to sneak right up on that pencil line so that I have then the exact mirror image shape of this template. And you can see that as I drop those in there, that's a perfect fit. And with that, I now have a master template for an inside curve, and I have a master template for an outside curve. Again, because this is my master template, maybe around a while if I make any more guitars, I've labeled it with the plan number and the guitar size. Now, these are the same shape. Why do I need both an inside curve template and an outside curve template? Well, you'll see as I go along here why I need both of them. So, I'm going to put this away and tell you what happened with this next. So this is my outside curve template. And this is the shape that the side will get bent to, of course. And so the goal would be to have something where I could push this side tight against these curves so that it can take on that shape permanently. Well, so what I did was trace this shape onto several pieces of 3/4 inch MDF board. 7 pieces, in fact. And here they are. I'm going to reach across the camera shot. These are the 7 pieces. They're now glued together, but I'll lay those over. Traced this shape onto each piece of MDF. And again, I went to the bandsaw and I rough cut that shape, staying just outside the line. But this time, with each of these 7 pieces, instead of taking it to the drum sander to sneak up on the line and get exact, I really, really want a very, very exact duplicate of this pattern, and I need it to be the same for all 7 pieces, exactly. On the drum sander, you can get very close, but it won't be exact. But what I did then was, for each of these pieces, I screwed this template to the top of each piece individually. Then I took this piece, the piece of MDF screwed to it, to the router table, and I used a flush cutting router bit with the bearing running along the template, and that was able to trim each of these 7 pieces of MDF to the exact shape and size of this piece. And so at that point I had 7 pieces, the exact same size and shape, and I was able to glue those together to get this. And we can put this template away now. Now we have a form that we can use to bend. It's wide enough to accommodate the guitar side. There's a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch of room left over on each side. And with this, if we had a way to push this board, this side down into this waist and around here, then we can bend it. And we have a way to do that. And so the next thing to show you is, again, I'll reach across, and it's a stand I made for this bending form. And note that I did not invent any of these things. I didn't come up with any of these ideas. These are techniques that I've seen other people use in their guitar making videos. And I did adapt a little bit of the shape and size of things, but none of this really is my invention. I owe all of this to other people who have made guitars long before I got the idea. So this form sits on top of this stand. And now we take our guitar side and we'll apply moisture and heat to the guitar side. And once this guitar side has been heated and it's absorbed some moisture, it will be more pliable, it will be easier to bend. And when that happens, we'll take this caul, we call it clamping caul, which is cut, shaped on the bottom to match this. It's mirror image just like our other templates. This matches. And so once this side is ready to bend, we'll put this on and it will push this side down. Push it down into this curve. And once it pushes all the way down, we'll take a bungee cord, very low-tech program. We'll take this bungee cord and we'll wrap it over this caul to hold it down, and that will keep pressure pushing down on the side while it's under heat and moisture. And this pressure will hold it into this shape. And I have a similar caul that will go on this end, and bungee cords will come here, and a similar caul that goes on the back. Bungee cords go here. And that way we can hold this side down in the middle. We can hold it tight to this curve. We can hold it tight to this curve while it's warm, about 300 degrees, and while it's moist. And once we get it into that shape, we let it sit for a while it cools and dries. And once it does, once the guitar side cools and dries, it will take on this shape permanently. And at that point, we will pull the curved side off, and then we'll do the second side the same way, because they're both mirror images. And so let's put this aside, and I'll show you what happens after that. Once we pull that side off the heat and moisture, we'll pull it off of the bending form, which I made with this outside curve template. We'll put it into this form. And this form was made from this template. This form is in two pieces. It's split here and here. It has a clamp at the end, which can be taken loose, and it spreads apart, comes apart completely. And it's to allow us to put the sides in and have some flexibility. Now, once the side comes off of the bending form and it's bent into that shape permanently, we'll put that side into this form. It'll fit right up against here, this curve. And the other side, of course, will fit right in here. And when we put those in there, we'll take these holders and tighten them up by means of this turnbuckle. And as I turn this turnbuckle, those threads will push outward on these clamping cauls, and that will push the guitar sides into this shape. We have one for the waist, and also a spreader for the upper bout. Put the sides in here, put these spreaders in there, tighten them up like this, and that will push the sides of the guitar into the shape, and they'll be held there for as long as I want to hold them there. Now that does a couple of things for us. Once the sides are in here and they're locked in with these spreaders, number one, they'll hold their shape. That helps the sides hold their shape permanently. Number two, it gives us a convenient way to hold those sides so that we can do other things to them, like shape the edges so that we get the sides to the thickness that the guitar needs to be. It's deeper here than it is here, so we have to shape that. We'll have to apply some kerfed linings, which the top glues onto. And all those things are easier to do if you have something holding the sides in place. And that is, that's how we got to the point that we're now ready to bend. And so hopefully the next video will illustrate the successful bending of guitar sides. And you'll see that all these jigs will be used, the bending form as well as this and these spreaders. And but for now, you know how we got to this point, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, have a good day.